So, what I want to do for the last part of class here is just kind of go over things. The paper we said, I think we gave you a decent deadline here. We said, what, Tuesday by 4? And the test Tuesday by 8. Let's talk about the paper just a little bit more, just to go over it. I think we did in the last class. Have people started putting together their paper? So method section, if you want to send me a draft, you certainly can. Method section should be pretty straightforward. What 3 subsections do you need to have? Participants, materials, and procedure. We went over that in pretty good detail the day of. Would you actually call that an experiment? Did I actually run it as an experiment? Yeah, I did. I had everybody in the back of the class. Everything was very standardized. So you have that. And then you won't write a results section. The results section would be very short and sweet. You start your discussion. Now your first paragraph, what should you do in your first paragraph in your discussion? What do you need to do in your first paragraph in a discussion?
State what your findings were.
State what your findings are. You need 3 sentences, so you might want to say, we predicted, or according to this partial replication, here's what we predicted, here's what we found. You kind of need 3 sentences for a paragraph, so if it's a little wordy, that's okay. Then what do? What will be the second section? Yeah, you relate the results back to the literature. You'll talk about the Bauer study. It was a little different, but we found similar results. Find at least 5 original references. You can talk about memory, the Atkinson and Shiffrin model, anything to do with improving memory or memory in general, or even interference. Just try to tie it to some literature and make it kind of cohesive. And then, what do you do in the third section? Strengths and weaknesses. The main weakness is what here? Potentially, the main weakness was?
The small size.
Small sample size, so you might use the term external validity, but could you give that a response? Yeah, you could say that other people have replicated this. Were there any strengths to the experiment here? Did I have good internal validity? Yeah, how come I had good internal validity? I could get a cause-effect things because how was my protocol? How was my procedure? How were my materials?
It was all standardized and controlled.
Everything was standardized and controlled. I think we even counterbalanced as well. So talk about it and use the right words, right? Everything was in the same font. The only thing that was varied was whether or not the labels matched the words under it or not. Everybody had the same thing, same number of words, so we had good internal validity. Internal validity is the ability to make cause-effect conclusions, so use some big shot words and show me you know what that means. Last section. And you could have some references here as well. Some of your 5. Maybe future studies. How would you improve memory? Maybe it would come from this as well. Maybe in tying it back to the literature, you talk more about Bauer and mnemonics, matching it up with some of those studies in Bauer and organization to memory. Maybe just 1 or 2 references. Future studies, you could go into all sorts of things with that. And actually, this gives us a little heads up on the next unit. This will be your last test, because for the last month of the semester, basically here, you're gonna, this is a research class, I think it's given the title. You're gonna be asked to propose, do kind of an annotated bibliography and come up with a proposal. And the reason I wanted to save memory for the 4th unit is I'm thinking that some of you may want to come up with an annotated bibliography, 9 or 10 references on how you might improve people's memory. and come up with a proposal. So that's what we're going to spend the last month doing. There will be no test on that. If you want to do another topic we've talked about in the class, that's fine. If it wants to be attention, if you want to do like a chess playing study or problem solving or creativity, you could do something on that. But I was thinking a lot of people, it would be very easy to come up with a cognitive neuroscience proposal and do an annotated bibliography on memory. It's a very kind of simple field to do, and improving people's memory. Is that a good topic for people to focus on? So that would be the way for that. So comments or questions, if you do want to send me one draft of a paper, even a method or a discussion section. I think the method, it's going to be worth 100 points this assignment. The method will probably be worth, I don't know, it'll probably be a 50-50 proposition. You need to have a cover sheet on this. I would see the cover sheet being page 1, page 2 and 3 maybe being the method. The discussion, maybe 2 pages there, 4 or 5, maybe 6. And then the last page you'll have what? References and APA style. So content, structure, writing, that kind of thing. Comments or questions about that? And then finally, just a little bit of a review of what we've covered in this class. Please.
If we do send you a draft, when do you want the draft back?
Oh yeah, that's a good question as well. With the paper being due on Tuesday, I would say Saturday by 8 p.m. Saturday by 8 p.m. would be good for me. Thank you. Good question. So the review for the class number 1 in this unit, we've had 4 classes. That's where we did the experiment. You should kind of know Bauer's main ideas. You're not going to get very much from that because why? You're writing a paper on it. Class 2, what did we go into in class number 2? Class 2, you could get some questions for that. Short-term memory, long-term memory, differences, proactive, retroactive interference. You should know the names Wickens, Atkinson, and Schifrin. The model of memory, an animal or a robin is a bird versus a robin is an animal. Sentence verification task. Know the details of that class. You could be given different stimuli and asked, what should happen here? Does this match up with what we would normally find? Yes or no? Why or why not? Give a rationale. We did a lot of stuff in class number 2 that could be on the test. Class number 3, what did we do there? Talked about what? Eyewitness memory. You should know the Loftus and Palmer experiment inside and out, and then the implications for police work, eyewitness memory, jury situations, and most importantly for you guys, what? False memory syndrome we talked about. You'll have a question on that. And finally, from today's class, it was very different than the other 3 classes because today we were doing what? We weren't just being cognitive about it like we were in the other 3 classes. We were being what? Cognitive neuroscientists. So you should know the Candel work. You should know the Ledoux work with the conditioned emotional response. And most importantly, this idea of long-term potentiation. Do we believe long-term potentiation does occur? Yes, it's an electrophysiological phenomenon. Do we believe people recall things for long-term memory? We do, but are there some significant potential for critiques here? Yeah, you should know what those critiques are. So something will be painted and probably be 4 or 5 questions, just like the other tests. And then we'll start the last unit. And in the last unit, we'll talk about potential topics. What you may want to think about for the next class coming in is you may want to actually, we'll probably have people kind of pair up a little bit here at the start of class next time and think about what topic in cognitive neuropsychology you want to do something in. For your final project, you'll find basically 9 or 10 articles on that topic. If you want it to be memory, that might be useful. If you want it to be attention, if you want it to be problem solving, If you want it to be language, that would be fine as well. But it just seems to me that memory, I chose as the fourth unit because it would be very easy to do something in cognitive neuropsychology with memory, kind of looking at some brain stuff, looking at some neuropsychology, improving people's memory, and so forth. Do you guys have any comments or questions for me? Okay. Do you feel like you learned some good things today in class? Did you guys know all of this kind of stuff? Okay, so that's kind of the nature of it for today. So that'll conclude today.